Did you know there are assets you think are valuable, but are actually keeping you poor? We live in a society where everyone races to own the luxurious and modern things without realizing that these very things are the financial traps hindering long-term success. So, which assets are slowly making you poorer each day without you even knowing it? That's the question you need to answer right now. These mistakes not only drain your money, but they also rob you of the opportunity to build a prosperous future. Join me as we uncover these dangerous assets in the video ahead. Don't let them destroy your financial life. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to build incredible wealth without struggling too much, while others, despite working twice as hard, still find themselves stuck in a financial rut? I used to be in the second group, working tirelessly, putting in effort day in and day out. Yet at the end of the month, my bank account was still drained. It felt like trying to scoop water into a leaky boat. But then I realized the problem wasn't that I wasn't making enough money. It was how I was spending it. The truth is, wealthy people have a financial playbook, a set of quiet yet incredibly effective principles they follow strictly. And one of the first chapters in that playbook is stay away from seemingly harmless purchases that, in reality, are silently draining your wallet every day. One of those sweet traps is the new car. It sounds familiar, right? But did you know that the moment you drive that brand new car off the lot, it instantly loses at least 15% of its value? In just the first few minutes, you've essentially thrown around $6,000 out the window. And it gets worse after 5 years. That car will retain less than half its original value. A $40,000 car is now worth less than $20,000. But if you bought it on a loan, you're still paying the original price, plus interest, which means the actual cost could exceed $50,000. That's no longer shopping. That's setting a trap for yourself. Warren Buffett, the fifth richest man in the world, who has made thousands of smart investment decisions, still chooses to drive an old Cadillac. He understands one thing: cars are not assets. Cars are costs. They're items that depreciate over time. The wealthy don't spend money on the thrill of a new car smell. They invest in things that create value, like real estate, stocks, or profitable businesses. As for transportation, they opt for practicality. A great example? A used Toyota Camry or Honda Accord, 2 to 3 years old, low mileage, with technology on par with a new car, and even still under warranty. And do you know what the best part is? It helps you save $10,000 to $15,000 right from the start. That amount, if invested properly, could double in just a few years. You see, it's not always about needing more money to become wealthy. Sometimes it's just about avoiding one bad decision. And if you're looking at that shiny new car in your garage and thinking, could that be my mistake? Then you already have your answer. Have you ever considered how that $40,000 car could have worked for you if you invested that money in an S&P 500 index fund? In reality, if you calculate it properly, that money would grow to over $186,000 in 20 years. So, is the new car smell really worth trading away that kind of money? But if you think losing money on a discounted car is bad, there's another financial trap I want to share with you, one that may seem harmless at first, but turns into a lifelong financial burden that's almost impossible to escape. It's called a timeshare, and it's a contract you'll never get out of. The idea of owning a piece of paradise to vacation at every year sounds tempting, right? But in reality, this is one of the worst investment decisions you could ever make, and honestly, you can't even call it an investment. It starts with a hefty upfront payment. It could be $20,000 or even more. But that's just the beginning. What the salespeople smile about and fail to mention are the annual maintenance fees, which only increase over time. It might start at $800, but after a few years, it will quickly rise to $2,000 or even more annually. And you can't avoid it. Whether you use it or not, you still have to pay. By the time you realize the harsh reality and decide to sell your timeshare, you'll discover that no one wants to buy it. The market is flooded with desperate owners, eager to sell at a fraction of what they paid, or even pay someone to take the contract off their hands. Robert, a man from Miami, learned this lesson the hard way. He tried to sell his Florida timeshare for $15,000 after paying $30,000 5 years ago, but received no offers. Meanwhile, financially savvy people simply book hotel rooms when they need to travel. They have the flexibility to choose different destinations, stay at modern resorts, and most importantly, they don't have to deal with any long-term financial commitments. Platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, or hotel discount programs offer similar, if not better, experiences at a much lower long-term cost. If you're stuck with a timeshare and feel trapped, don't worry, there are companies that specialize in helping you get out of these contracts. But be prepared for the fact that the cost to resolve this issue won't be cheap. Prevention is always cheaper than the cure. Before signing any long-term contract, you should ask yourself, will this contract give me financial flexibility, or will it tie me into a rigid commitment for life? Before we continue, do you see how these financial traps are truly adding value to your life? Think long and hard before making any financial decision, because sometimes financial freedom starts with simple yet wise choices. If this information is helping you, don't hesitate to leave a comment with the words "open mind" below this video. That will help the YouTube algorithm bring this video to more people. And I truly want to create valuable content for you. Now, continuing with the topic of appearance versus reality, let's highlight one of the biggest wealth destroyers that many people fall victim to. That is the habit of buying designer items, expensive accessories, things that provide only a fleeting sense of admiration from strangers, but in the long run, rob them of their financial future. You might think that a $2,000 Louis Vuitton bag or a $10,000 Rolex watch will make you appear more successful. However, the hard truth is that many people flaunting these items are buried in debt. They're trading away real wealth for a temporary illusion of prosperity. It's fascinating to see that while those in debt proudly show off the latest designer goods, true millionaires live humbly and discreetly. Mark Zuckerberg is famous for his simple gray t-shirts, and Warren Buffett still lives in the house he bought in 1958. Both understand that owning income-generating assets is far more important than showing off superficial wealth. The issue here is that you can easily see that the $500 shoes aren't just about their surface value. They represent an opportunity cost. If that money were invested in an ETF like VTI, with an average annual return of 8% after 20 years, you would have more than $20,300 from that same amount. And if you bought it on a credit card with an 18% interest rate, the actual cost could be double. This doesn't mean you shouldn't buy beautiful or high-quality items. The issue lies in the timing and the appropriate proportion. Truly wealthy people follow the rule of assets first, spending second. They build a solid investment foundation before splurging on luxury items. A simple rule to remember: if that luxury item costs more than 1% of your net worth, you probably shouldn't buy it yet. If you truly love high-end brands, look for smarter alternatives. Resale platforms like The Real Real or Vestiaire Collective offer authentic designer items for a fraction of the original price. Or you could try rental models like Rent the Runway, which allow you to wear designer clothes without committing to purchase. But even when spending on designer goods is a waste, at least you still have something tangible. However, there's another wealth destroyer that's even more insidious. So, have you ever noticed that the peace of mind that comes with reasonable spending can lead to long-term financial freedom? We will continue to break down the factors that help you avoid these financial traps and move towards lasting prosperity. You've probably heard of something called the hope tax, a tax that Americans voluntarily pay every year, despite the odds of receiving anything in return being almost zero. This refers to gambling games like the lottery and betting. Let's explore the truth behind these forms of entertainment and why they have become an incredibly dangerous financial trap. No one can deny that lotteries and gambling industries profit from people's hope. To understand this better, you need to know that the odds of winning the lottery are 1 in 292 million, an astoundingly terrible number, and even the chance of being struck by lightning is higher, about 1 in 500,000. Imagine if you filled Madison Square Garden with thousands of people and randomly selected one person to give away the prize. The odds of winning would still be lower than winning the lottery. And here's another staggering fact. Every year, Americans spend about $400 on the lottery. If you invested that amount into an index fund like VO, with an annual return of 8% after 30 years, that money would grow to over $50,000. This reminds me of the story of Sarah, a woman from Ohio. She spent over $15,000 over 12 years on lottery tickets, never winning more than $50. This truly reflects the immense waste we are facing. If you pay attention, the truly wealthy don't do this. They don't squander their money on meaningless investments like lotteries or gambling. Instead, they make calculated bets in businesses, real estate, and the stock market where their chances of success are much higher. Take Warren Buffett, one of the most famous investors in the world, who always says that real wealth comes from disciplined, stable decisions, not from fleeting luck. If you find it hard to resist the temptation to gamble, create a separate entertainment fund, setting aside about 1 to 2% of your excess income for such pleasures. This way, you can still satisfy your desires without sacrificing your financial future. In fact, you could try apps like Acorns or Robinhood, which make investing as easy and enticing as gambling, but with far better long-term results. This is the way to both indulge your cravings and protect your financial future. However, as financially harmful as gambling may be, at least it's a slow leak. But don't get too comfortable, because there's a far more dangerous wealth destroyer out there, one that silently wreaks havoc on your finances. That enemy is credit card debt, and it is the single greatest financial threat you need to avoid. You've probably heard of a kind of debt that seems harmless at first, but can snowball into a crushing financial burden over the years. That's credit card debt, a balance of just $5,000. If you only make the minimum payments, could take up to 15 years to pay off and cost you more than $10,000 in interest. That means you'd end up paying more than twice the original amount. This reminds me of Dave's story, a man from Boston who spent around $7,000 on furniture and electronics. But after years of making only the minimum payments, his debt had ballooned to over $16,000. This happens because banks know something most people don't. They love it when you pay the minimum. In fact, those minimum payments are designed with precision to keep you trapped in debt for as long as possible, while the banks collect outrageous interest along the way. It's a quiet transfer of wealth from your future to the shareholders of the bank. But let me tell you how financially savvy people use credit cards. They don't fall into the trap. Instead, they leverage the benefits like travel rewards, cash back, and fraud protection, while always paying off the full balance at the end of each month. That's how they turn a potentially harmful tool into a powerful advantage. Take cards like the Chase Freedom or Citi Double Cash. They offer 2% cash back on every transaction, but only if you never pay a dime in interest. This doesn't just help you save, it earns you money on everyday purchases. So, are you already aware of these financial traps, or did something here surprise you? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment with "I already knew this" or "This is new to me." I read every single comment, and they help me create better content for you. Now, if you're already stuck in this kind of debt, don't worry. There's a way out. Try using the avalanche method. Focus on paying off the card with the highest interest rate first, while making minimum payments on the others. Once you clear the first balance, roll that payment into the next one. This creates a snowball effect that helps you eliminate your debt faster and more efficiently. Apps like UndayBT.it or Tiller Money can help you stay organized and motivated as you watch your progress unfold, one payment at a time. Not all financial traps are easy to recognize. Some appear to be stepping stones toward success, but end up becoming expensive pitfalls. One of the most deceptive is the cost of higher education, an investment that millions of Americans are still paying for decades after they graduate. Imagine this. You've just graduated from college, filled with hope and armed with a promising degree, but also burdened with massive debt. On average, each student in the U.S. carries about $37,000 in student loans upon graduation. In certain fields, that number climbs dramatically, sometimes exceeding $100,000. The tragic part? With starting salaries so low, many graduates struggle to repay their loans in any reasonable amount of time. Jennifer, for instance, earned her degree in fine arts with $60,000 in student debt. Her first job paid just $32,000 a year. 5 years later, she still owed more than she did when she graduated. So where's the real problem? It's not education itself. The issue is the mismatch between cost and financial return. something that leaves many feeling hopeless. People with clear financial vision take a different approach. They analyze the ROI, the return on investment, of any educational path. They ask, will this degree truly increase my income? Is there a more cost-effective way to reach the same career goal? Can I acquire these skills without spending so much money? And today, the answers to those questions are shifting in a big way. Career certificate programs, especially in technical fields like IT, web development, or data analytics, are becoming more popular. These programs often cost less than $10,000, yet can lead to entry-level jobs starting at $60,000 or more. Community colleges now offer the first 2 years of a university education at a fraction of the cost of traditional universities. Online platforms like Coursera, edX, and LinkedIn Learning offer high-quality courses for just a few $100s instead of thousands. If you're thinking about going to college, do your homework. Websites like PayScale and the Bureau of Labor Statistics provide data on average salaries by career and education level. Compare programs from different institutions. Consider starting at a community college, then transferring to a larger university to finish your final year. Look into scholarships, government aid, and company-sponsored tuition reimbursement programs. These can significantly reduce your overall cost. But above all, never forget this. Investing in your own growth is always a wise decision. Because when you invest in your skills and your potential, you're building something no one can ever take away from you. One of the most overlooked destroyers of wealth is spending on things we don't actually need, items that never offer lasting value, and in many cases, only add stress and financial burden to our lives. Things like boats, luxury items, those fleeting symbols of so-called success. When you think about buying luxury items like a boat or a vacation home, do you consider the hidden cost behind them? We've all heard the joke. The 2 happiest days in a boat owner's life are the day they buy it and the day they sell it. But behind that punchline is a financial truth that too many people face far too late. Boats, vacation homes, and other luxury purchases are financial black holes disguised as status symbols. The real cost goes far beyond the initial purchase. A $50,000 boat can easily cost an additional $5,000 to $10,000 a year in maintenance, insurance, storage, fuel, and repairs. And worst of all, most of the time, it just sits there and used, taking up space while offering little real value. Mike, a man living in Tampa, spent $65,000 on his dream boat. But after buying it, he realized he only used it 8 days a year. That meant the real cost came out to nearly $2,000 per day of use. Have you ever dreamed of owning something extravagant like that without truly understanding the long-term price tag? Meanwhile, people with sharp financial vision take a very different approach. They rent instead of buy. Why spend $50,000 on a boat when you can pay just $400 to $600 a day to rent one whenever you actually want to use it? Apps like Get My Boat, Boat Setter, and Freedom Boat Club let you enjoy the experience without shouldering the financial nightmare of ownership. The math speaks for itself. A $50,000 boat with $5,000 in yearly upkeep over 10 years ends up costing you $100,000. But if you invested that money in an ETF with an average return of 8% a year, you'd walk away with around $215,000. So the real question becomes, are a few days on the lake really worth $115,000 of your financial future? For those who truly crave extraordinary experiences, try applying the 5% rule. If the annual maintenance costs of a luxury item exceed 5% of your post-tax income, chances are you can't truly afford to own it. And if you're still deeply drawn to those experiences, consider joining shared ownership programs or membership clubs where you can indulge without carrying the full financial weight. If purchasing luxury items doesn't seem like the most financially sound decision, then the 8th wealth destroyer is far more deceptive. It's marketed as both protection and investment, but in reality, it delivers on neither promise and quietly makes someone else rich. I'm talking about whole life insurance, a sluggish, expensive investment masquerading as financial security. Insurance agents often sell whole life policies as a convenient blend of life protection and investment. What they don't tell you is that you're combining an extremely overpriced insurance product with a low-yield investment, resulting in something that neither protects effectively nor grows your wealth meaningfully. If you currently own a whole life policy, you might be standing in the middle of a financial trap without even realizing it. The numbers don't lie. Whole life insurance can cost 5 to 10 times more than term life insurance for the exact same coverage. For example, a 45-year-old man seeking $500,000 in life insurance might pay $400 per year for a 20-year term policy or $4,000 per year for a whole life policy. That's a $3,600 annual difference. Money that could be redirected toward real investments with far better returns. The problem lies in the investment component of whole life insurance. It's shockingly inefficient, especially in the early years. Most of your payments go straight to fees and commissions. After 10 years, you might have paid $40,000 in premiums, but build up only $30,000 in cash value. James from Ohio learned this the hard way. After 8 years, he tried to withdraw from his policy, only to receive less than what he'd paid in. Meanwhile, his agent had earned thousands of dollars in commissions during the first year alone. This is a textbook example of the lack of transparency in the insurance industry, where the agent walks away with the reward and the policyholder is left holding the short end of the stick. On the other hand, financially savvy individuals take a radically different approach. They opt for affordable term life insurance to protect their family during the most crucial years, when they have young children or a mortgage, and invest the difference in high-yielding options like VTI, VO index funds, or tax-advantaged retirement accounts such as 401(k)s and IRAs. This strategy has been embraced by financial titans like Warren Buffett and Ray Dalio. These individuals are constantly seeking smart investments and lean cost structures that generate long-term, sustainable wealth. So what's the smarter solution? A more effective financial strategy is to purchase term life insurance and invest the savings in higher return vehicles. This is the playbook for financially intelligent people. They protect their most critical years with term coverage when they have dependents or major liabilities, and channel the savings into productive investments like VTI, VO, or retirement accounts with tax benefits such as 401(k)s and IRAs. Even billionaires like Warren Buffett and Elon Musk follow this principle. Avoid flashy pitches, seek real value, and maximize financial efficiency for the long haul. If you already own a whole life policy and are having second thoughts, don't worry. There are better options still available. You can request a partial refund, borrow against your policy, or even initiate a tax-free 1035 exchange to move your funds into a more efficient contract. The key is to seek guidance from a truly independent financial advisor, not someone who earns a commission from selling insurance, so you can receive objective advice that isn't clouded by someone else's personal gain. Up until now, we've uncovered several costly financial missteps, but the ninth wealth destroyer might be hiding in plain sight. It's likely sitting in your wallet or purse right now, a recurring expense fueled by some of the most cunning marketing tactics ever devised. So the question is, do you really know what you're paying for? One of the biggest threats to our financial well-being lies in the unnecessary spending we don't even realize we're doing. This has been proven by a massive industry built not just on selling products, but on selling us the idea that what we currently have is no longer good enough, that we must upgrade to the latest version, even if the changes are barely noticeable. Think about the smartphones you buy every year. We're often convinced that the new iPhone, with its better camera and faster processor, will deliver a drastically improved experience. But the truth is, we don't need to upgrade our phones every year. The differences between consecutive models are rarely worth the $1,000 plus price tag. Tech giants like Apple, Samsung, and others have mastered the art of planned obsolescence. Your old device doesn't need to break. It just needs to feel outdated. And we fall for it. We pour money into new products we don't really need. Don't let clever marketing pull you into this cycle. For example, if you upgrade your phone every year over a decade, you could easily spend more than $12,000 without receiving any real value in return for those minor changes. So, ask yourself, are you falling into these financial traps? Unnecessary purchases, driven by clever advertising, might be robbing you of valuable investment opportunities and long-term financial growth. Stop, reflect, and choose smarter financial strategies that build a stronger future. Now think about your phone. Have you ever paused to ask yourself whether upgrading every year is truly necessary? If you kept your phone for 3 to 4 years, you could save between $6,000 and $8,000 over time. Take a real-world example. Robert from Denver. He calculated that over the past 10 years, he spent more than $14,000 just upgrading iPhones. Had he invested that money in a simple index fund, it could have grown to over $20,000. That's a powerful reminder of what financially savvy people already know. They continue using technology until it no longer meets their needs, not just because something new hits the shelves. Warren Buffett, who built a billion-dollar empire, used the same old phone for years. Not because he's against technology, but because he understands how to use it strategically, not emotionally. So, when should you upgrade? Only when it's absolutely necessary. Not just because the new phone has a better camera or a faster chip. There are smarter alternatives, like buying last year's model, which often drops in price by 30 to 40% as soon as the new one is released. Or consider refurbished devices. They come with warranties and cost just a fraction of the brand new price. And when it comes to computers, instead of dropping $1,500 on a new one, consider a simple upgrade. For just $100 to $200, adding more RAM or replacing the hard drive with an SSD can make your current laptop feel brand new. But tell me, were you already aware of these financial traps? Or is this news to you? I'm genuinely curious. Leave a comment below this video with either "I already knew" or "This is new to me." Every comment helps me improve, and I truly want to offer more helpful advice that makes a real difference in your life. Next, I want to share with you another financial trap, one that masquerades as the happiest day of your life, yet often leaves a lifetime of debt trailing behind it. I'm talking about the wedding industry. Countless couples start their marriage already buried under a mountain of debt, simply because they wanted the perfect wedding. With the average cost of a wedding in the US now exceeding $30,000, many newlyweds step into their future carrying the weight of financial stress. But here's the truth. Your wedding doesn't have to be the most expensive day of your life. In fact, numerous studies have shown that the less couples spend on their wedding, the more likely they are to enjoy a long-lasting, happy marriage. But society paints a different picture. Magazines, TV shows, social media, they all pressure us into believing that a wedding must be extravagant to be meaningful. The reality? It's quite the opposite. Joy and longevity in marriage have nothing to do with how much you spend on the wedding day. So let me ask you this. Are you letting society pressure you into spending money on things that don't really matter? Learn to spend wisely and consciously. Your wedding doesn't have to cost a fortune. The phone you're using right now might still meet all your needs without needing a shiny new upgrade every year. Change your financial habits and start investing in things that truly bring long-term value. A wedding is one of the most meaningful moments in life. But are we getting swept away in a cycle of overspending? Did you know that Jennifer and Michael, a couple from Boston, chose to have a simple ceremony that cost just $5,000? And instead of blowing their savings on luxury and glamour, they put the remaining $25,000 toward a down payment on their first home. Just 5 years later, that property had appreciated significantly, giving them a stable financial future. This isn't some one-off story, and I'm confident you can do the same. The real issue isn't about celebration. It's about whether we're willing to sacrifice our financial future for one single, extravagant day. The $30,000 you pour into a wedding could instead be invested in your retirement account at age 30. At an average return of 8% annually, that money could grow to over $450,000 by the time you're 65. So ask yourself, are you willing to trade $500,000 of your future for a few hours of flowers and a DJ? Financially savvy couples are rewriting the rules on what a memorable wedding means. They're focusing on meaning, not display. On experiences, not excess. Weddings on weekdays. Celebrations at parks or museums instead of banquet halls. digital invitations, and minimalist decor. These thoughtful choices can slash costs in half without sacrificing the special moments that matter most. So, are you planning a wedding right now? Start by setting a firm maximum budget before doing anything else. A golden rule: never spend more than what you can pay in cash without compromising your long-term financial goals. Tools like Zola and Wedding Wire offer free budgeting features to help you track expenses and stay in control. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope today's message helps you gain clarity on the invisible costs that might be draining your finances. Life isn't always easy, but when you begin to see clearly and make wise decisions, you're not just changing your future, you're opening the door to new possibilities. Share your story with us. We'd love to hear about your journey and support you through your challenges. If you have any concerns or questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to create content that speaks directly to your needs. Like, share, and leave a comment below, because your voice truly matters. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming value-packed videos. Keep moving forward on your path to success, and always remember, you deserve the very best.